What if I told you that one of the most famous kings in history actually died twice? No, this isn't a supernatural thriller. It's the real-life story of King Louis XVI of France, the monarch who lost his head to the guillotine during the French Revolution, only to have his name resurrected and mythologized by royalists long after the blade had fallen. This is the strange tale of a king who was executed and yet wouldn't stay dead. Louis XVI was never supposed to be a revolutionary martyr. He was a quiet, indecisive man, more interested in locksmithing than ruling an empire. Born into luxury, married to the infamous Marie Antoinette, and handed the keys to a crumbling French kingdom, Louis inherited a country on the brink of collapse, and, well, he didn't exactly save it. France was drowning in debt, the people were starving, and the Enlightenment was making the old idea of kingship look like a very expensive joke. So when the revolution came knocking, it wasn't with flowers. It came with pitchforks, pamphlets, and eventually a very sharp guillotine. In 1793, after a failed escape attempt and a trial for treason, Louis was marched through the streets of Paris to the Place de la Révolution. He tried to speak, but the crowd drowned him out. The blade came down. The king was dead. Except he wasn't. Not entirely. You see, Louis XVI may have lost his life, but over the next few decades, something strange happened. He started to come back. Not in the flesh, of course, but in the hearts and minds of royalists across Europe. In the chaotic years following the Revolution, France bounced between republics, empires, and monarchies like a political pinball machine. And every time the pendulum swung back toward monarchy, Louis's image grew softer, braver, holier. To the enemies of the revolution, Louis became a martyr, a king who died not because he failed, but because he was too noble, too just, too Christian for the mob to tolerate. Painters portrayed him as a saintly figure, sometimes with a glowing halo. Poets wept over his death as though it had been a crucifixion. His final moments were rewritten to make him look like a hero, facing the gallows with divine calm. And in 1826, under the restored Bourbon monarchy, the Catholic Church even declared him a martyr and established a feast day in his name. Imagine that, a man once mocked for being weak-willed and oblivious, now reborn as a holy symbol of monarchy itself. But this second life wasn't just about image. It had real political consequences. Royalists used the myth of Louis XVI to justify their return to power. Look what happened when you cut off the king's head, they argued. Anarchy, terror, Napoleon. Louis became a cautionary tale and a symbol of what France had lost in the Revolution. In a weird twist of fate, the same king who had been so ineffective in life became incredibly powerful in death. And it didn't stop there. Even today, there are small groups, monarchist societies, traditionalist Catholics, and curious historians who speak of Louis with reverence. His execution is sometimes framed not as a tragic misstep in a long revolutionary process, but as the original sin of modern France, the moment the divine order was shattered. Now, was Louis XVI really a saint? Hardly. He wasn't a monster either. He was a man caught in the gears of history, slow to act, too passive, a little lost. But history doesn't always honor accuracy. It honors impact. And in that sense, Louis had more impact post-mortem than he ever did while sitting on the throne. So yes, Louis XVI died on January 21st, 1793. But in the decades that followed, a second Louis rose from the ashes, crafted from nostalgia, idealism, and regret. A king who ruled from beyond the grave, not with decrees or armies, but with myth and memory. The king died once by guillotine, and then again, he was reborn, transformed into a symbol, a martyr, a legend.